So you have just completed your check ride.
Indeed.
I want you to tell me anything you're wanting to, or willing to tell us. How stressful was it? Did you feel prepared? Do you feel your CFI made it seem worse or better or easier than it should have? Whatever you're willing to tell us.
Okay. Well, not to make it sound like an advertisement, but definitely did a great job. We'll just say that. Felt prepared coming in, especially on the knowledge side. Because when you do all the written test prep before, do that knowledge test before, you definitely, you sort of have to know that kind of stuff. And so coming into it, I felt prepared on that end. And I did, yeah, and like in terms of flying as well, I felt prepared, but no matter what, you're going to feel nervous. That's sort of what I realized. I thought, okay, like, I feel prepared, so I shouldn't feel nervous, but by the time I showed up, got the butterflies in the stomach, you know, the whole ordeal. So there's definitely a little bit of that. But once I got up with him and started flying and stuff, I just sort of thought back to instruction with Andrew and sort of what we would go through, because at the end of the day, it's just doing the same things we practiced so many times before. So yeah, all in all, a little stressful, but at the end of the day, great experience and super psyched.
If somebody was coming in to their private check ride or doing their private training right now, is there anything you would say, like, I don't know, maybe what was hard for you, but what you kind of feel they should maybe focus on, or something that helped you along in your training, something like maybe you were having trouble with landings or something, and then you found this video on YouTube or something. Like, I don't know what it was for you, but was there anything in particular that you think would really help a new student coming into this training?
That's a good question. Yeah, I'd say, so the one thing that you really have to make sure you do, and that's, I sort of didn't realize it coming into it, but there's a lot of information that you need to know, like a lot of reading, a lot of knowledgeable things that you sort of have to fully understand. Not only know like exact definitions and whatnot, or sort of what this is, what that is, but you also just have to know like why, like the reason behind every single thing.
Yeah.
And so that's something that I didn't really know coming in, but you sort of get into, once you get into it and start realizing that that's sort of what it's all about, you just do it. And it was great. And honestly, I'm really glad it's like that, because you just feel so much safer and comfortable flying, because you actually know why this is happening, like why that's happening, you know. So it makes me feel much better that that's sort of a requirement. But in terms of like flying things that I found really difficult or challenging that I had to sort of work on was, I would say, my landing on those 1,000-footers at the end. I think that was a little bit tricky, because I was a little worried about that too, just because like deadlines were coming up. I have to go back to school. I have to get this check ride done, like it's in a few days, and so that's why at that point when I was thinking that, like, oh, this is all happening so fast, you really have to just sort of step back and remember how much training you've actually done, and really just realize that there's no point in getting stressed, because at the end of the day, again, you've done all that training, and you just sort of have to think back to like what you've learned in the past and just sort of stick to that.
Awesome.
So, yeah, pretty much what it said.